Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and welcome to episode 3 of Wheel of Doom Picks My Audiobook. This is the Clear Your Shit edition. So Clear Your Shit is a storied readathon where the premise or the point of it is to read the unread books on your TBR, and I participated last November and December when the major primary readathon takes place, but then in June they do a mini readathon that furthers the plot of the ongoing story forward a little bit, and it's a little bit more low-key than the 6-week long readathon is. And if you've been following my channel for June, then you'll see that I had weekly vlogs for doing Clear Your Shit for my physical TBR, but I thought it would be fun to use this to tackle my Libro FM TBR as well. Also, if this is the first time you're catching an episode of this series, Wheel of Doom is a monthly series where I prioritize reading down my Libro FM TBR. I was a bookseller for 4 years? 5 years? Time doesn't matter, it's fine. And Libro FM has a really great bookseller program, and there are a ton of audiobooks for a bookseller to pick from every month. So I was a bookseller for a number of years, and then I continued on as a social media manager for another several years, and I just have a lot of audiobooks on Libro FM because I used to just take, not everything because that would be impossible, but I used to just get a ton of audiobooks, and I've since become a little bit more picky in the audiobooks that I download, but I have a lengthy backlog, and this series is just a way for me to prioritize listening to those. So since it is Clear Your Shit month and there are prompts, what I'm going to modify this a little bit. Typically in the past 2 episodes I've just had a number wheel that represents all the unread audiobooks that I have, and I'll spin the wheel, and whatever number I get, I go to my Google spreadsheet and I find the audiobook that correlates with that number, and that's the audiobook I listen to. For Clear Your Shit purposes, since there are specific prompts, I'm going to go through my Libro FM library, pull the titles that fit in with that prompt, put them into the wheel, and then we're going to spin and pick the book that way. And there are 2 prompts a week. I don't know if I'll actually listen to 2 audiobooks a week because I'm also reading 2 physical books a week. And I don't know that I can read 4 books in 1 week. Yeah, that seems really ambitious. I don't think I can do that. But I'm just going to do my best to get through as many of these prompts as I can, audiobook-wise. So the first prompt is a book you got because of other media, either a recommendation from a movie, a book that was mentioned in another book, social media, etc. So I went through my Libro FM and I pulled all the titles that I got because I saw them on Instagram, on BookTube, or an internet friend recommended them to me. Most of these are, I think, BookTube, but whichever one we land on, I'll let you know where I got that recommendation from. So let's go ahead and spin. I think the only other caveat I have to this is I have several Silvia Moreno Garcia audiobooks. I think I have maybe 3. So I just put her name down, and if I get her name, then we'll go through what I already have of her, books, and pick from there. But yeah, I'll stop rambling and we'll just spin the wheel and let's see what we get. Okay. I was afraid of that. Maybe I also should have said there's some books that I'm more excited to listen to than others on this list. So, okay. Can't spill treason with that tea. Great. Love it for me. Where did I hear about this? Jason, his handle is EasyCat, both on YouTube and on Instagram. I know I heard him talk about this, I think, around the time when it came out. So this is a book that was originally indie published, and it's just now being traditionally published, that's the word. And I have DNF'd this book before. because I heard about it, and it was shortly after I'd read Legends and Lattes, and I'd really loved Legends and Lattes, and Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, when it was indie published, was getting compared to that a lot. And except it's like sapphic, and I was really excited for it. And I got about halfway through it, and it was way more high stakes than I was anticipating. Like at the halfway mark, the main character had almost died like 3 times, and I was upset because I felt like in cozy fantasy, the main character's life should not be in peril that many times. But now there's an audiobook, and I feel like I could go into it again now that I have the appropriate expectations for this book. I feel like maybe I could try it again and it would go better. So that's going to be my first audiobook for this episode, and let's hope that I have a better experience this time around, because this is a book that I really wanted to love, and I was really disappointed that I didn't love it as much as I had hoped to, because it has a lot of components that I felt like would really work for me. Like, it's a book that's centered around a bookstore, it's sapphic, there's, you know, that small town D&D type vibes. I don't know, I'm hoping the second time is a charm, and that it was a case of right book, wrong time, not wrong book. Wish me luck! Hey friends! No, I have an update. I am 33% of the way through You Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, and I am having a much better time of it this go around than I did the first time. I'm finding it to be a really quick listen. It's all repeat right now, obviously, because I did double check on Storygraph, and I made it 65% of the way through this book before I DNF'd it. So I have a little bit longer while it's all repeat information, but I'm enjoying a lot more. I think having more correct expectations is helping, and I do really like the audiobook narrator so far. I don't know if I've heard her do anything else, but I'm digging her doing this. But this is about Raina, and I forgot the other person's name. But Raina is a guard for the queen in this world, and the other woman, whose name I can't remember, is the like Lord Mage. So like in charge of like all the mage type people in this world. So she's pretty, you know, she's a big deal. And they've been in a secret relationship for a couple of years. And the other one has been trying to get Raina to leave being a guard, because this queen is corrupt and not very good at being a queen and taking care of her people. And their pie in the sky dream has been to open a tea shop / bookstore somewhere and just live a cozy life together. And Raina finally kind of reaches the last straw and agrees, and so runs away from being a guard. But this queen is like really petty and vengeful, so Raina has to hide in secret. But they go to this small town and buy this old barn and renovate it into a bookstore / tea shop. And so the part I'm at is when they're working through like the nitty gritty of like, where's the tea gonna come from? Where are we gonna get our stock of books from? Like, we need to go talk to this person in the village to get permission to live in the barn, and we need to go get permission from this person in the village to open a business, and then meeting the townsfolk and getting acclimated to that community. So that's the part that I'm in. For the main character, Raina, she has already almost died once, so we're gonna keep a tracker, because this is where I butt up against it being cozy fantasy, because I don't think your life should be in peril in cozy fantasy, but maybe that's a misconception on my part. But anyways, that's where we are. I'm having a good time. It's easy to listen to and doesn't take a lot of brain cells. So that's kind of where I'm at for this week, because I'm fine. I'm back at work this week. I had a week off and I was sick. So now I'm like having to go back to my regular life. So it's kind of nice to have an audiobook that doesn't require a whole lot of brain power amidst, you know, having a regular routine again. Okay, I finished You Can't Spell Treason Without Tea a few days ago, and I have been sitting on how I feel about it, trying to make sure I have it all like lined up in my brain before I try to update y'all about it. I'm giving it a 3. It was very easy to listen to on audio. The audiobook experience was very pleasant, very easy to listen to. I feel like the narrator did a really good job differentiating between characters so that I didn't get confused. I would say this book is really long, and it doesn't need to be as long as it is. And I would also say I spent the majority of the book waiting for the book to start, if that makes sense. Like, even though they're in the town and they're setting up their bookstore, their tea shop, and they're building community, and there's plot things, plotting, and there's kind of a resolution to the main conflict, it just never, I don't know. I think this is the problem with putting a really high stake plot into a book that is supposed to be a cozy book, because the tone of the book never matched how high the stakes were, especially, like I mentioned, the main character's life being in peril multiple times, and her girlfriend, the mage, whose name was Kianth, like, her life was in jeopardy at least once. So like, it just felt like we had that it was two different books. There was what the marketing wanted you to think the book was, and maybe what the author wanted the book to be, but then like what the book actually was based off plot and things that happened. So just not the book for me. I'm glad I did circle around and finished it. Like, I'm not mad that I finished it, because literally by the time I caught up to where I had DNF'd it the first time, I had maybe an hour and a half left on audio. So it was so fast and it didn't take up a lot of time. And now I have, you know, now I won't wonder, oh, if I had finished it, would I have liked it more? But I'm not mad I read it. So I don't know where that puts this, but that is book one down. I guess we should roll for the other one for the next prompt. Okay, hold please. Okay. My hair doesn't know what it's doing today. I washed it last night, and then I put it into like a high pony when I sleep. And I did that when it was still damp last night, and then it curled funky or waved funky. I don't know. I'm going to put it up when I go to work, but for right now it's down and it just looks funky, and that's just kind of what we're working with. Anyways, the second prompt for Clear Your Shit is read a book in your favorite genre, and for the regular vlog I picked fantasy, but I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately, so I decided to do sci-fi this time. I took all my unread sci-fi, which isn't very much, so apparently I prioritize those faster than other genres, but oh, that's not what I meant to do. So I put in my unread science fiction, so we're gonna spin, and that will be the audiobook that I start next. And just like with fantasy, there are some books that I'm more excited to read on here than others. Okay, luckily this is one of the ones I'm excited to read. Okay, so this was on my middle grade March TBR, and I never got around to it. Not for any particular reason, just because that's how it went. And so I do want to read this one. This is middle grade. I think it's fairly heavy content-wise, but I've heard really good things about this book and about the author's debut, which is this book. Anyways, so that was a good choice. I'm really happy with that outcome. On vacation, but I owe y'all an update about Alabrijes. So I'm about 160 pages in. I do have a physical copy as well, because I listened to the first chapter and didn't understand a dang thing I'd listened to, and so I got the physical copy, physically read the prologue, and now I've been just kind of bouncing back and forth as it goes, because it's been harder this month to listen to audiobooks than it has been in past months. And that could be a lot of things. I mean, school is out for the summer, so I definitely have less uninterrupted audiobook time during the summer than I do during the school year. So Wheel of Doom has not been as productive for June as I had hoped. Part of that also might be that I'm doing like a clear your shit approach, which I'm also not loving. I'm looking forward to getting back to the wheel, like the true wheel in July, because I don't like that I mixed it up for June. But yeah, Alabrijes, so it's post-apocalyptic and it's set on Earth. I think it's set in like southern United States or northern Mexico, something like that. And humanity is just super different. There's, no technology. Food is pretty scarce, and living out
away from other people is super dangerous. There's animals that attack and eat you. It's just not very safe. And so this story is set in a particular village, I guess, and there's a pretty strict caste system and a pretty stark difference between the haves and the have-nots. And our main character, Leandro, I think he's like 12, and he and his little sister are definitely the have-nots. They're orphans, and they work in the fields harvesting potatoes, which is like the main food that the poor people have. And Leandro's sister, Gabby, she steals a strawberry from the market, basically, and that type of food is reserved for the super wealthy. And she's caught, but her brother Leandro, he takes the fall for her. And the punishment for eating a strawberry, if you're not part of that, ruling class, is banishment. But banishment is basically a death sentence. And so the person that's in charge of doing banishment for minors, she instead makes a bargain with him of putting his soul into an alabrejas, which is basically like a metal automaton construct. And then he's gonna journey outside in this hummingbird body and discover that, maybe the world isn't the way people have told him all his life that it is. I think I'm pretty sure he's going to meet other people whose souls have been put into these metal constructs. But I really like it. The story is really good. It's it's depressing. It's post-apocalyptic, but I think done in a way that wouldn't be too overwhelming for kids to read. I will have to say I like the narrator, but the narrator does not do women's voices well. So whenever he has to do, ooh, butterfly, that was pretty. So whenever he does like a grown woman's voice, it's very annoying, and I don't like that part. Now that we're outside of the compound or the village, maybe he won't do women's voices anymore, and then it won't bother me as much. So that's your update. I'm having a good time with it. I really like it, and I'm hoping to finish this and do maybe one more audiobook for this month. So not my most productive Wheel of Doom so far, but there's always July.
I just finished working out. I have to get ready to go to work, but I finished Alebrijes, and I wanted to give you my final thoughts. I think I'm going to give this a 4.25. I did really like it. I think this, like I mentioned, it's post-apocalyptic or dystopian. I don't know. It takes place on Earth like a long time after the collapse of civilization as we know it, and so there's no more machines, there's no more technology, and these people are living a really bleak existence, I guess. And the government that runs this civilization is very controlling, and there's really strict rules, and anybody who even questions why the rules are the way they are is exiled almost immediately. And so I think there's a lot for discussion, like for book club, or even just like to read along with a middle grader and have a discussion about the things this council decides to do, the decisions Leandro makes, the society, the Alebrijes in like the wild, like build with each other. So anyways, I would definitely recommend it. It is a more serious book, and it does have heavier themes, so I do think they're handled age appropriately. I didn't love the audiobook. I actually would recommend probably reading this with your eyeballs instead of listening to the audiobook. The audiobook narrator was fine when they were doing Leandro's voice because it was first person, but anytime the narrator had to do a woman's voice or a young girl's voice, it was not good. It was very annoying. And there were a couple times I stopped listening, even though I was interested in what was going on. Like, I had to just stop because I found the female voice just too patronizing to keep listening to in the moment. Obviously, I got through it just fine, but I don't know that I would recommend this one on audio. I also found out that there are not a ton, but where is it? Oh, there are a few illustrations in the book. I can't show you the last one because that's a little bit of a spoiler. Actually, it's a big spoiler. I also wonder from what... Oh, is that a spoiler too? I haven't read Donna Barba Higuera's debut, which was the last Quintista, I think. But I wonder if these two are connected in some way. I'm not gonna tell you why I wonder that, but I'm just gonna say that's my wondering as I finish this book. As I finish this book is if these two are connected. Dang, are there only like 3 illustrations? Damn. Okay, so there's not a ton of illustrations, but oh, here we go. Oh yeah, I'll show you this one. So anyways, they're nice, and just every once in a while at the end of a chapter. Okay, so I think I have time to read one more audiobook, maybe 2. And I say 2 because the next prompt is to read a book with a white or sparkly cover, and I have to go double check and make my spinner wheel, but I'm fairly certain that all of my white covers are nonfiction books. So if I get a nonfiction book, I can also have like a fun audiobook to go alongside the nonfiction book. So I'm gonna get set up for that real quick, and then we'll spin before I have to go to work. All right, y'all, this is a weird assortment of books, and I'm not super excited about most of them, but that's okay. That is the point of this challenge, so let's just get it over with. Oh, ooh, okay. Yay! All right, that's good. I know that I like Sherry Dimeline, so that is a good pick. Now, I will show you, because I debated putting this on here, because you may be like, Emily, the Marrow Thieves does not have a white cover. I know it doesn't, but on Libro FM, oh, now it went away. Okay, so this is what the cover looks like in like real world, but for whatever reason, oh, now it changed. I swear it was a white cover on my Libro FM, and I don't know why it was a white cover, but it was. Okay, I have to show you. I have to prove my innocence that I did not cheat. But y'all know I have no problem saying when I'm gonna cheat and when I'm sticking with the promise of the premise. Okay, see? Look at that. It's right there. It's a white cover. I don't know why. I don't know why Libro, but then when I click on it, it's like the actual cover, but it's okay. As for my scrolling through purposes, it had a white cover. So I'm gonna read The Marrow Thieves, which I'm excited about because I have been wanting to read this for a while, and I think it'll be a good time. It'll also be my 3rd book by an Indigenous author this month, which is awesome. I love that for me. Okay. I'll come back when I have something to say. You know how this goes. Hello, everyone. Are you ready for an update for The Marrow Thieves? I hope so. I'm 60-something% of the way through, and this is a YA, maybe thriller. It's dystopian for sure, and we are following this group of people in Canada, and the world has fallen apart thanks to climate change and colonialism and capitalism and all the things we know and love. Sarcasm, in case that was unclear. Anyways, and we're following Frenchie, who I would guess is maybe 16, maybe 17, could be 15. I don't know if he actually ever says how old he is, but he has lost his family. How do I describe it? So one of the side effects in this dystopia is that people stopped being able to dream except for the native population. And so the white people decided to resurrect residential schools and to kidnap indigenous people to try to take out their marrow and inject it into non-native people in the hopes to start up their ability to dream again. I hope that is correct, and I hope that makes sense, because I have a real tenuous grasp on that part of it. Either way, the indigenous people in this new reality, in this future, are being hunted and taken to these residential schools, and once they are taken in, they are not seen again. And they're taking everybody. They're taking children, they're taking adults, they're taking the elderly. Everyone is up for grabs, and it's really dangerous, and it's got really high stakes. And this book has really high stakes, and I
like it a lot. This is my third Sherry Dimeline, so I know I like her writing. I am also so impressed. Like, each of the books I've read from her have been totally different in tone, in vibes, in language, maybe the subject matter. No, subject matter, like, they've all been wildly different. And I really admire and respect authors. Like, Akwaeke Emeze does that as well. Like, each book Akwaeke Emeze puts out is totally different, like a different genre, a different reading audience. So it's very cool, and I'm liking this one a lot. Now, is it my favorite Sherry Dimeline? Not really. I think I like, oh, now I've forgotten what the other two are called. I think I like the other two more. Dystopian's not my favorite, but I am really liking this. I was kind of unprepared for how high the stakes would be. Like, she did not come to play with this book. She is like, no character is safe. So I'm a little nervous about the next. I think I have like an hour and a half left to go on the audio. So it makes me a little nervous, but I am enjoying it. And I'm interested to know what's going to happen. I love the audio narrator. Like, he does such a good job. And we'll see how this all plays out. We are getting ready to head out. It is the 4th of July, and we're going over to my family's house, but I did finish The Marrow Thieves this morning, so I wanted to give you a final review. I gave it 4 stars. I did like it, but like I said yesterday, it's not my favorite Sherry Dimeline book. It has a very ambiguous ending, which sometimes I like, but in this case it made the book feel a little bit unfinished. Like, I wish I had gotten a little bit more resolution. There's still a lot that's unknown, which, like, yes, makes sense for the story, but like, as far as a satisfying final note, I didn't get that. And given how much peril there was in this book, I really felt like I needed something. I needed a final note to close out the phrase, and I didn't get it. And so like, that was hard. This is YA, so I'm not the target audience for this. I'm not the person who's meant to read it, but I did find our main character, Frenchie, he did some like probably stereotypical teenage boy things towards the end that just felt annoying and unnecessary. And I didn't like the ending as much as I liked the beginning. It also was really sad at the end, which, maybe you could make an argument for realism, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't my favorite. So it's kind of a bummer. I think now, though, I've read all of her backlist, so I'm excited to see what she comes out with next, since everything has been very different from each other. And with that, we're going to close out this episode of Wheel of Doom. This wasn't my favorite episode. I didn't love doing the clearursh edition. I'm excited to go back to just like the giant number wheel for July and see like what I end up getting and having it be more random. I didn't like selecting titles to put on the wheel. I like it when it's super random and I don't have any idea of what could pop up. I mean, I do have some idea, but when there's, 300 books. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but we did start this month with 304 audiobooks. So it'll be interesting to see. I go and I update the spreadsheet after I'm done filming each episode, so that then when I start the next one, I can let you know where we're at. But I think I forgot to do it. So we started at 304. Listened to 3. I didn't feel like anything was a new favorite, unfortunately. It's always a bummer. But we did get some off the wheel that I have had on my Libro library for a really long time. So that's good. That's nice. I'm glad that those are no longer lurking on my TBR. And yeah, if you've made it to the end of this video and you want to let me know that you are here, let's do a tent emoji, and like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!